Today, we are going to dive deep into a very simple framework that will help you every time you have a choice to make. Welcome back to another episode of the Upgrade My Rituals podcast. My name is Kevin McKella, the host, and this is the show for high performers, business owners, solopreneurs, executives, professors, people that are looking to take all the overwhelm that they have, all the tasks and all the to-dos that don't get done, and streamline their life into a daily system of positive and healthy routines. So when their head hits the pillow at the end of the night, they feel great about where they were and where they're going to go and what they got done that day and what they're going to do and all this great stuff. So welcome back once again. And today we're going to be talking about the Cdp Framework. This is actually part one of a two-part little series revolved around my Cdp framework that I came up with quite a while ago. And today's episode is going to lay it out, and we're going to discuss all the ins and outs of the Cdp framework. And then next week's episode is going to be talking about real life examples. We're going to go some of my own personal, some pretty rough examples, really positive examples, and just bring this into how important this is of a framework that is very tactical in your journey of productivity and personal development. So real quick before we get into today's episode, I just want to once again announce and leave actually a link, finally, leave a link for you guys to sign up to get on the wait list for Day by Design. So Day by Design, the online course and coaching hybrid program that will be launching January 10th. So excited. It takes all the things that I teach. It takes ritual design and it walks you through a very, very succinct system, A to Z, about how to actually implement this in your own life. Take what you're having troubles with, all of these overwhelming feelings and these wants and needs to achieve, and figure out how to do that every single day. Figure out what the obstacles are going to be, what technology you have to use, what analog stuff you have to use or don't want to use, or whatever that may be, and teach you ritual design from a very organized perspective. So very, very excited about that. I will, like I said, leave a link in the details today. You can sign up on the wait list and I will notify you when we're ready to rock. With that being said, let's jump into what this framework actually is today. So Cdp Framework stands for choices, decisions, and patterns. And actually, it's really funny. This is actually lesson 5 of the 4th module in Day by Design. So why did I come up with this framework? This system, this little mini system within ritual design is very important because we take a look at, even as far off as your vision, right? Which we don't really discuss too much, but we look at your goals, your quarterly goals and domains that you want to improve in your life, your monthly schedule, your ideal week, how we're going to run your week, and then how we're going to ultimately, like I said, design your day. And you have this perfect day laid out and everything's ready to go. And then we didn't execute. We didn't follow our plan. We failed somewhere along the way, which I actually just talked about failure last episode. It's very meta today. Why? What happened? Well, no matter what you did or didn't do, it came down to the choice you had in front of you, the decision that you made or didn't make, and the patterns that kept arising from that, and how this all kind of intermingles. So let's break it down one by one. The choice. Now, the choice is, to be honest with you, I do have to also talk to you about what the difference between I can't even speak today, the choice and a decision actually is. A choice is something you have not done yet. It is, do I practice guitar or do I not practice guitar? You have the choice in front of you. Now, it may be because it's at 9 o'clock at night and you told yourself you're going to practice for a half an hour at 9 o'clock at night, so you have a choice. Do I do what I already planned to do in my ritual design, or do I not? Right? Do I eat the cake or do I not? I've been eating some cake lately. It's December. So we have the choice. Now we have to make the decision. Now, the difference between the choice and the decision is primarily that the decision is what we actually do, right? Now, what's interesting about the decision is this is kind of cool because the decision can happen afterwards, right? And if you didn't practice guitar and you didn't even realize that you made that decision, but then it's like 10:30 and you're still watching Family Guy or whatever, or Bravo or whatever it is, whatever your thing is, and you're like, oh, damn, I didn't even realize I made that decision, but I made the decision not to practice. Or you can make the decision in the moment and say, you know what, 9 o'clock, I told myself, let's go do it. Head down to your little practice studio and go at it. Or one more thing, and this is the really cool thing about the decision-making process, is that you can actually decide in the future. So I'll explain. If you are on a weight loss journey, you can make the decision that you are done. You are over being weight. You no longer identify as a person who is overweight. Now, the only difference is I just have to get there, but I'm done. I've made the decision. It's over. There is no, I am done smoking. I'm not even a smoker anymore. Why would I ever pick up the cigarette? I'm not a smoker. I don't smoke, right? And you can make that decision for every single time a choice is presented. Because if you are a smoker, that choice is going to present itself. Every time you walk into a 7-Eleven, you see the e-cigarettes or whatever the heck. Every time, a couple of your other friends are smoking, whatever it is, there's your choices, and they're going to keep presenting themselves. So if you make the decision up front, it's not that hard when you have to make the second decision in the moment, right? Because ultimately, you will be constantly making decisions, whether it's in the moment or afterwards or whatever, however it works. And then finally, the patterns. If you are somebody who is currently overweight, you were originally in a pattern of eating poorly and not exercising. I'm sure there's other, metabolism things or whatever, but basically, you're in a pattern that has continued to make decisions. You've continued to make decisions of poor diet and poor exercise, and now you've developed this pattern of making those poor decisions. So everything kind of revolves around the decision-making process. The choice comes first, and the patterns come after. So, now there is a few other things to kind of dissect here, but the important thing to know is that the pattern, before we kind of look at this holistically, the pattern is not yet a habit, because a habit, right, is one level, and then there's another even deeper level, which is an addiction. So I specifically use a pattern because, first of all, once we use language, number one, as habits or I'm addicted, you make it so much harder for yourself. If you are addicted to chocolate cake, you're not as addicted as a heroin addict. You're just not that addicted. Granted, sugar is an incredibly addictive substance. Not as much as nicotine or heroin or alcohol or anything like that, right? It's, but it can be, and I'm not saying that it's not serious. I'm saying that you always want to language things in a way that favors you. So you may be addicted, right? You may have to go a week or two that is a little bit of a detox and you don't feel good, right? And especially if anybody has actually gone on the ketogenic diet and you start and you go cold turkey on the ketogenic diet, you get like the carb sweats or whatever, like the headaches of switching over to running on fat versus carbohydrates. It's a very interesting topic, but I digress. You want to be careful about how you language that and what you're calling a pattern and or a habit and or addiction. That's number one. And number two, you have to be careful because it ultimately could become an addiction. Most people that smoke cigarettes are addicted. because most of the time they want to stop. Most of the time, logically, they know they need to stop. They know it's not healthy. They know they have to be here for their family. They know all these things, no, but they still find themselves going like this, right? I mean, it's really, it's wild. So I wanted to just put that into perspective. Now, the one more thing we're going to talk about this system is very interesting because it kind of feeds on itself. Like a lot of the things I teach, the belief wheel is very similar. When you're looking at this framework and you have a choice and a decision and a pattern, it actually really does feed on itself. Because let's take an example of practicing guitar. That's not really an addictive type of thing. It can be for some of us, but you have a choice. You told yourself we got a couple more weeks left in the year. You told yourself that you were going to start learning guitar. It's something you always wanted to do. You made a goal to be able to play 15 songs by the end of the year. Here's all the song lists. I need to know 6 chords and 5 scales and just random examples. So you've said to yourself, all right, my tactic and part of my ritual design is to block out a half an hour, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock, or say Monday through Thursday, Sunday through Thursday. I don't know what you did. This hypothetical person, to practice half an hour every night. So now Monday night rolls around and it's 9 o'clock at night and you are on the couch. You just finished dinner. You had a beer, feel good, maybe a glass of wine, feel nice and relaxed. And now you have this choice. It's 8:55. Oh gosh, I told myself I was going to practice. Do I practice or do I not? Let's go down the negative road first. You choose not to. So you decide not to. So you have the choice. You decide, no, I'm going to skip tonight. And some of the stories that we can tell ourselves is very convincing. Nah, it's just one night. I'll start tomorrow, or I'll pick it up tomorrow again. I'm not going to, put myself back so far because I missed one night of practicing. Choice, decision, and now this pattern, right? So we did that on Monday night, and then we did the same thing on Wednesday night, and then the next week rolls around, and we skipped Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then the next week rolls around, we skipped Monday, and then 8 weeks down the road, you haven't touched the guitar. What do you think this process of continually having a choice, making a bad or /wrong decision, and developing that pattern into this negative circle, what do you think that is going to do? That is going to groove in your psyche that you are not worthy, you're not talented enough, whatever that means, you're not hardworking enough, it's not possible, you can't do this. Let's switch it. Now we get the positive. You have a choice. 8:55, you told yourself you're going to practice guitar. Yeah, you know what? Let's do it. Right? Okay, the guitar's sitting right there. I left it out on the stand. Perfect, great. You've made the positive decision to go practice. Yes. And then, you might have missed 1 or 2 nights that week. Fine. The next week rolls around, you practice for 4 nights in a row. And all of a sudden, this positive pattern that you're creating of making the good decision is starting to show results. Wouldn't you know it? Oh my gosh, I know 3 chords now. Oh, by the way, for you musicians out there, if you know 3 chords, you can play like a million different songs. Oh my God, look at this. I can play so the next week rolls around, practice all 5 nights. The next week rolls around, you practice 6 nights. The next week rolls around, you're practicing for like an hour and a half every night, and you are just shredding. So what's happening, right? This is a self-fulfilling cycle of a positive outcome or a negative outcome based on every single choice that you have in the moment. And what's crazy is that the amount of choices that we make as human beings every day is astronomical. It's some crazy number that you would never think about. Like you think, oh, maybe we make 50 choices, 100. It's like so much more than that. And I don't know what I'm referring to, but I know I've heard this before about how many choices we make every single day. And it's so wild. When you really understand that you are in control every second, it could potentially become a little overwhelming. It doesn't have to be, because the reason why we designed the ideal day is because I know you and I are not going to execute the ideal or the perfect day every single day. If it was the perfect day, I'd call it the perfect day. It's not. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to make normal negative decisions, because that's what a human being is called, right? We are not David Goggins, and I'm sure even David Goggins, if you don't know him, check him out. I'm sure he fails to the wayside because he's also a human being. Maybe not. I don't know. But this framework is very, very important for my own personal ritual design. If I'm able to execute my AM routine, BW, AW, all my routines throughout my day, it is granular as to, I have a choice to lift one more rep on the bench press, right? Do I lift one more? Because I told myself I'm going to do 10, and I'm just about to get 10, and I got it. Do I go for one more? Or even reverse it, right? I told myself I'm going to get 10, and I got 9. Do I say that's good enough? There is so many choices that we can make that affect every single part of our progress in our personal development journey. So, to recap, choices: to do or not to do, to be or not to be. That is the question. The decision is what you actually make. Remember, the decision can be made either prior, in the moment, or after, which is more of a realization, like, crap, I forgot to practice. That's technically a decision. Or prior, I am done being overweight. I'm done. That's it. Right? Now, again, you still have to make the momentary decision of whether you're actually going to eat that cake or work out or whatever you're going to do. And then finally, what are the patterns that are rising? How many times are you actually making these positive or negative decisions? And where's our life going? And that ultimately will lead either to a positive and or negative habit and or addiction. So that is it for today. That's the CDP framework, folks. I hope you enjoyed. That's one of my favorite topics to talk about. That's why it's a crucial part of Day by Design. It's a specific module in itself, as I mentioned, because it's so important. You can plan out your day perfectly. You can plan out your life. And then when the rubber meets the road, you better be having slicks. That's a weird race car analogy. I don't know why I said that. On that note, thank you so much for listening today. If you like this, please share it with a friend. That would be awesome. Leave a comment, like the video, and of course, subscribe if you are new here. And most importantly, if you really liked it, I would love to hear that in a review. If you can head over to iTunes or your favorite podcast listening platform, please leave a review, which would be great because it would help other people find the podcast as well. So once again, thank you so much for listening. Next week, we are going to continue this discussion about the CDP framework, but we're going to talk about it in real world examples. So some of the things I just mentioned, but some of my own life experiences, some of my friends, and some of my family members, and we'll go from there. So thanks so much, and I'll see you next week on the Upgrade My Rituals podcast.